Democratic National Alliance leader Granville McCartney said today that after government revealed its plans to borrow more than $60 million for hurricane relief efforts, he was baffled and confused, questioning how government came up with that figure without proper assessments and why it has yet to mention anything about insurance. Simone Davis reports.
The DNA leader said it's the government's duty to explain to the public exactly how they got that assessment. However, he said his main concern is whether or not the government buildings destroyed in the hurricane were insured at all.
What procedures did they put in place to determine that amount in the first place? That has not been indicated to the Bahamian public. Secondly, I think the public and the Bahamian people ought to be aware, or ought to know, whether or not these places had insurances that were devastated. In particular, the government buildings, and if so, has the government taken that into consideration? I would assume that any government buildings that may have been destroyed would have been insured.
McCartney also expressed concerns over the country's national debt, stating that it has only increased since the implementation of value-added tax, which was initially implemented to lower the country's debt. He says it seems as though VAT is not going toward the country's national debt, and it begs the question, where is the money going?
I find it amazing that our debt has increased, our national debt has increased, and yet we've taken in a significant chunk of money for value-added tax. The government has not to date informed the Bahamian people where that VAT money is going, because it obviously would seem that it's not going towards our national debt, which was the primary reason why the value-added tax was introduced, to reduce our debt. Being informed that the debt has increased 10% up to June 2015.
McCartney shared many of the same sentiments as Free National Movement Chairman Michael Pintard, who suggested on Thursday that borrowing money should have been one of many options instead of a sure decision. The DNA leader said asking other countries for assistance would have been a better idea.
The question to the government is, look, have we exhausted other means of getting financial support? For instance, from the Caribbean Disaster Emergency Management Agency, from the United States, from the United Kingdom, from the IDB, from CARICOM, that the Prime Minister was chairman of for the last 2 years. Have we exhausted those revenues of help before we exhaust the avenue of borrowing again and putting us into more debt?
He said the Christie administration should use the reconstruction of those devastated islands to rebuild and upgrade those islands to make them more appealing to both residents and tourists.
The government speaks at length about borrowing this money, but they fail to say how they intend to rebuild. Do they intend to put the same types of structures back that will that's susceptible to hurricanes? Do they intend to, at the end of the day, ensure that we use this as an opportunity to build those islands up? We use it as an opportunity to cause these islands now to become islands where people can live comfortably, where there's commerce, where there's industry, and whether it can bring monies into those islands.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Simone Davis.